Welcome everyone to the 209 Journey podcast. I'm your host Luis, and before I introduce my special guest tonight, I just want to give the quick reminder, as I usually do, to go follow the social media pages for the 209 Journey. You can find it at the 209 Journey on Facebook and Instagram. On Instagram, I actually just passed the 700 follower mark, and I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers there by the end of the year. So if you guys can help me with that, follow, share it with a friend, invite people to check it out. Also, check out the podcast on the 209journey.com. If you want to listen to it, watch it, that's a perfect place to do so because you have both options in one. Or if you prefer to listen on the apps, then it is available on most of the applications out there. So more options for you guys. Also, if you want to contact me, if you have a guest, if you yourself want to be on here, then fill out the form on the website and give me more details about yourself, your story, and what you would like to share. Again, that is all on the website, the209journey.com. Awesome. Well, let me go ahead and introduce my special guest tonight. His name is John Bos, and he owns one of the 209's most popular farms here called Dutch Hollow. So we'll be talking more about the story about how that got started, and even before his amazing story of his family and their American dream here, and what they have going on, because they are going to be having quite a few things here as we get closer to the pumpkin season and all that. So really excited to hear more about what they have going on this year. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce John Bos to a 209 Journey. Welcome, Boss. How's it going?
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. I'm doing good. I'm a little hoarse in my voice, but we're gonna make it through this podcast, and no problem, no problem.
Yeah, you're doing great. I'm glad that you have the background. You have all the pumpkins right there.
Yeah,
Uh,
we got a few pumpkins. We're getting lined up for fall, and that's it's amazing. You know, it's such a journey because this is almost like it. Everything that we do over here is almost like a year of planning, and then it finally comes to fruition. And it's funny how October I seem to kind of relax a little bit. I mean, it's busy, but I tend to relax because there's so much work leading up to it that it's nice that it's here finally.
oh yeah. Plus the weather's really nice. Right, can finally get out of these 100-degree
Oh,
weather. Hopefully.
it was definitely a brutal summer. I've talked to a lot of different farmers, and they're like, "This is one of the most days of 100+ degrees," and that presents its own challenge in farming. But um, that's that's farming too. I mean, we always deal with the weather. There's no sense in crying about it.
Yeah, that's what I say too, right? It's it's every year of all of us complaining, right? Like, oh, why can it be?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's an ongoing thing.
Definitely.
uh, well, before we talk about how you founded Dutch Hollow Farms, I want to hear. I know it's on the website as well, but hear it firsthand from you. Your parents' story with the American Dream, and how they ended up in Modesto, starting the dairy farm and all that. So tell us
Yeah.
more about that.
Yeah. It's so funny to tell people that I'm a son of immigrants, and then they look at me and they're like, "Wait a minute, you're white." you know, what's up with that? But yeah, no. It was funny when my dad was dating my mother. So my parents were born in the Netherlands, and when my dad was dating my mom, he said to her, he kind of gave her an ultimatum. He's like, "Oh, by the way, I plan on moving to the United States. So if you're not down with that, then we're got to basically break up." And my mom said, "Okay, I'm down." So they ended up getting married and moved out to California in 1960. And it's funny, my dad didn't have much schooling or anything like that. So he grew up on a farm, and he was hand milking cows when he came to the United States. Didn't know the language, but just like everyone else, they learned and fit into society. And they had a lot. There was quite a few people that had immigrated from the Netherlands around that time. There's a period of 10, 15 years where a lot of immigrants were coming into the United States. But the story of their immigration was just crazy because they had $25 and they had to have sponsors, and that sponsor needed $10,000 in their account per person. So that person had to have $20,000 in the bank in order to sponsor my parents to come into the United States. And that was done in a way so that if my parents were trouble, they would basically go after the sponsor to make up for those dollars that the government was losing with, a troublesome couple, if you will. So it was quite a task for them to come, but it was amazing. They moved to Southern California initially, and 40 years ago, when we moved to Modesto in 1982, I was 11, and so it was a bit of a shock, but I fit in really well over here, and that the community around here is phenomenal, and I don't think that transition would have been as good if the area wasn't as good as it is. Does that make sense? The people were amazing.
Mhm. Oh yeah, I mean, and we have all the farms here. There's more, so it helped, right? I mean, it was a great area to move in, especially
Yeah,
in those years where we had more.
yeah, and actually, I had a friend. He was a friend of mine. He was a classmate in Southern California, and they moved the exact same year. So I did have someone familiar in the area, and we started off at Ripon Christian. I was a sixth grader, and it didn't take long, and they told me I was going to play basketball. So
Oh.
you didn't know, I'm currently now. I mean, I was tall for a sixth grade, but I'm 6'5", and if you're tall and you go to Ripon Christian, you play basketball.
Yeah,
There'll
I
be
mean,
some people that have played against our teams that go, yeah, yeah. Every year there's somebody at Ripon Christian that's 6'6", 6'7". You're like, what is up with these people? But it's so, just so you know, the Dutch on average are the tallest people in the world.
oh,
And so if you wonder why Ripon Christian has a lot of generations that go back to the Dutch in the Netherlands growing up uh, in that cold climate.
well, that's interesting. Yeah, for sure. Because I think, I mean, anytime anyone's tall, it's almost like basketball is your automatic go-to, right? Like if you,
Yeah, yeah,
like, are you good at basketball? I don't know, but you're
yeah,
tall, so.
yeah. I mean, I got it a lot. But I mean, 6'5", for the NBA doesn't really work, like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
especially being white. I know my limitations. I was a pretty decent basketball player, but not that level. So
Yeah, you're able to play it, right? You're able to play in high school.
yeah,
Feel there. Well, let's talk about 2006 year when Dutch Hall of Farms came about. I mean, you had all this experience working for the family farm and all that. So,
right.
what went into the decision of like saying, you know, I want my own thing as well, and starting it where it got started?
So the backstory is so the way my dad did things, like he was hand milking cows, and then he eventually had someone that took him in as a partner in their dairy farm, and that was huge, obviously for him. That goes to show kind of the character that my dad had. That guy could work like you wouldn't believe, and in those days, if the harder you worked, the more you earned. And eventually he started on his own down in Southern California. He was leasing a property uh, and doing a dairy, and then we moved here in 82. He and my mom bought this place at 62 acres, um, and it was a mess. and we did our best to try and advance it. But as you know, it takes so much money to really put a good dairy facility together, and we may do. I mean, we were milking 400 cows, and in today's standards, that's tiny. In those days, we were considered probably a medium-sized dairy farm, and yeah, I went to Ripon Christian, went to Modesto Junior College. I was going to be a landscape designer, and because my mom's really into plants and growing things, and ended up going to work for my dad. Well, I met my wife, so we just celebrated our 30th anniversary. So I mean, that's something to be proud of. But yeah, I was working for my dad. Well, I don't know if cows was 100% my thing, but you know, it was kind of a family thing, and uh, but I wasn't making a whole lot. You know, I wasn't a partner. Henceforth, I was always kind of looking to um, do something else that maybe earned a little bit of side money, if you will. And I was farming a couple of pieces here off of Mabel Road, and um, yeah. So in 2005, my best friend and I, maybe I need to leave this area. Miguel's loading up pumpkins into the bins.
Okay, all good.
Can can I move this a minute? I'm gonna move so I can let him work. Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Just give me a minute here.
Okay. Yeah, you're good.
I'm gonna go down here and let them be noisy. But okay. You don't have that too often in your podcast, do you?
But this is great. I mean, for on the audio, people aren't gonna like hear all that, but on the video, it's good for people to see the behind the scenes, right? Because
Yeah, I
this
mean
is how it is at a farm.
we're definitely in the heart of it right now. Yeah, this is gives you a perspective. This barn, you could feed 200 cows on each side, or 100 cows on each side, and we had this filled with hay. So I mean, it's obviously, I mean, there's a lot of history for me here, but we'll eventually get there. But in 2005, my best friend was growing. Their family grows about 750 acres in those times of pumpkins, and they had extra of these giant prize winner pumpkins left over. So just before Halloween, we set up here on the corner of Sylvan and Claus Road, because at that time it was a three-way stop. It's not the light that it is now, and obviously there wasn't no AM PM or anything like that. But we were selling prize winner pumpkins over there for $25 for one, two for 40. And oddly enough, with all that being said, we made, I think, $200 each in an afternoon. And we just had the greatest time. You know, I mean, uh, it was just something fun for two friends to do, right? So when we got to talking about it later, we always said, you know, if we ever had the right place, man, we should start a pumpkin patch, because obviously Brian had a way to get pumpkins because their family was growing them. By the way, their family now grows over 1,700 acres of pumpkins. So I learned from the best. They are one of the premier pumpkin and watermelon growers here in the Central Valley, and you should probably do a show with him one of these days. But it's an amazing story. It's kind of similar story. Their grandfather started the business, and they've grown it to this really big thing where they're supplying Walmart, Trader Joe's, all those type of chain stores. So it's a pretty amazing story. There was a dairy farmer next to the old, as we call it, Dutch Hollow 1.0. Now there's a Costco there. But I was talking to that dairy farmer and I said, "Hey, who's farming that place?" And because the previous farmer had actually passed away from an illness. And he said, "Well, as a matter of fact, I am." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Fast forward a couple weeks later, I run into him at the Quickie Mart, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to Italy." He's like, I got too much to do already. He's like, "You want to farm that place?" And I went, "Yes." So instead of calling my wife, I called Brian and I said, "Do I have a pumpkin patch corner for you?" And so it began. Um, so it was just 2006 was the time we started what as we affectionately call 1.0. And yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything about the pumpkin patch business. Um, but obviously I pay attention to Brian and listen to how they grow pumpkins and all that other stuff. But he and I and our wives were partners, and it was pretty flawless. They were great partners to have to start our business with, and I want to say they were partners of ours for 3 years, and then Brian became a part owner of his family farm. So then conflict of interest took him out of our business, and so it was just Brooke and I. So uh, and then 2008 happened. that was that was bad for a lot of people, including us. But we managed to survive. Fortunately, I was still working here, and I was farming on the side. So I mean, I made just enough. But one of the reasons that it all started because I was making $28,500 here a year. Well, to try and afford a house in town and have kids, obviously making that kind of money, um, I mean, it's tough to make a living now, but that was pretty tough considering, we had bought a house, and the house payment's $1,000 a month, and which, by the way, who wouldn't kill to have $1,000 a month house payment now, right? uh, so we've been very blessed that way. We live pretty cheap. I mean, so it was able to kind of grow and expand the business. And I mean, honestly, we were just it was a great place for a start, but it was really tough on us because we only leased the property. We didn't own it. So all those dollars that Costco brought in didn't benefit me any at all. But it was hard to put infrastructure into that farm as well because, yeah, I mean, it's not your land. And when we first leased it, they said 5 years, 5 years. Well, we ended up being there for 14, and then I farmed one more year after that. So it goes to show it, obviously, because of that crash. Um, then I found out about new ownership and all that other stuff. And now you have Costco, and now they're building all sorts of other things. And it's really creepy for me to go over there because I'm like, man, I spent so much time of my life over there. Because in 2009, in October, is when I officially quit working for my dad. And that was not easy. And we had a lot of tough years. But I think, everybody has to go through a little bit of struggle in their life to prepare them for even more challenges. I mean, this place has been a challenge, but because I feel like I'm a little bit hardened to working hard and all the things to try and make ends meet, this I think it worked out. It couldn't have worked out better. How about that?
Oh yeah, I know that's a good positive way to see that. And yeah, I mean we go through things, but it's great life lessons, right? And now
Yeah.
it prepares you for this new challenge, right? And being able to be back to where it all started for you essentially, right? I mean not
Well,
for like that, but
and you, and you have to put it in perspective. In those days, we had 2 employees and 4 owners. Um, Now it's just my wife and I, and my wife. My wife actually is a para in a special ed class at Johansson High School. So she's not really involved in the day to day of Dutch Hollow. Um, so because everybody has different passions, and her passion is working with kids with special needs, and she's phenomenal at that. And she was a great person to have out here because she's a very personable person. You can't really do this business without being somewhat personable, because you're dealing with the public. And if you're crabby all the time, people are going to be like, why do I want to come to this place? But uh, now we're at 150 employees hired for this fall, and that's that's mind-boggling to me. I mean, it's who would have thought? And as we continue to grow and expand and do other things, I mean, we've only just begun, and I'm 53 now, and I wish I was 20 years younger, but um, and I don't know if any of my kids will. I have 2 kids. My daughter is graduated from college and she's counseling in some schools in the Manteca area. My son is a junior now at Cal Baptist University in Riverside, and he's studying to be a physical therapist. So, I mean, I don't know if he's interested at all, one of these days. You never know. Um, but I don't want to do this forever. But I'm enjoying the journey. How about that? It's a lot of ups and downs and things that you have to deal with, serious things that you have to deal with, because you always have to keep the safety of the public in mind, and uh, ADA compliance. I this is a farm for anyone, um, and even though it's expensive to make everything ADA accessible, those people want to be here too, and so I take it pretty seriously. Um, Again, it's there's a lot of facets, and and when you're this little small little pumpkin patch, there's not as much worries in the whole thing, but it's rewarding. It's the amount of people, the people that leave here. That was one of the things that my dad loved so much out here, is the families, and how the kids and the families, the phones get put away, and they just enjoy each other and have a great time out here. And that's unusual. I I had an employee tell me once, this is when we were in flower season, we haven't even talked about flowers yet, but um, she said, this is the best job ever. And I said, at that time I was like, you're making $8 an hour, right? I mean, it was like, why is this the best job ever? She said, I worked at Mountain Mike's Pizza, and it's either too hot, too cold, it's the wrong size, it is this. He's like, everybody complained. He's like, people come here and they're happy. And that's pretty neat. I mean, when families can put their phones away and just enjoy being around each other for that brief moment, you're out of the city and you're here, and it's fun, and it's a time that you really enjoy being with your family and or friends, it's pretty neat to see all that.
Yeah, no, it's pretty unique, right? Because as you know, with the valley, like so much of agriculture is like disappearing, which is really sad to see. And with the farms, with farms that are open to the public, there's less and less of them out there, right? So just having something like what you have there, I think it just makes people appreciate the
Yeah,
valley more, right? So it's nice.
because there isn't too many farmers out there that when the real estate people come knocking that they don't sell. A lot of them work all of their lives just to event. I mean, it's great when they can cash out and live a comfortable life because it isn't easy. And you know, when most people go to work, they know at the end of the year that they made money. For a farmer, you invest money in fuel and seed and all these things, and there's no guarantee at the end of the year
Mhm.
that you make money. There's some years, obviously, that are great, but there's some years that are really bad, and weather comes into factor. There's so many different factors that go into the farming experience. It's not for the faint of heart. How about that? Uh,
Oh
I
yeah. No.
I saw it too with my dad. I mean, there were so many years that were hard times for him financially, but he always had a positive spin on things, and that's one of the things that he truly enjoyed about being here at the farm is just how people are so kind, and they were interested in his story, because again, um, you don't hear that story a lot anymore, and so it's pretty neat to see success in a in a different kind of way, but um, it's a rewarding thing. I That's one of the things that I enjoy the most is being around the people and just talking. As you can see, I don't have a shortage of breath for talking, right? But um, it's again, it's a really neat business to be in.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad that you're in it. You're continuing the family legacy. Hopefully, it does continue further on. But even then, I mean, you're continuing what was there, and glad that the move happened. I'm sure. I mean, there's a lot of challenges as you mentioned, right? Because you're moving into a bigger space. It's your own
Yeah,
space, so now you can actually like do
yeah.
whatever you want, right? I mean, you don't
The
have
the
to
the
respond
bank
to.
account is never big enough, and towards the end of my dad's dairy career, uh, it it was a struggle, and this place was a mess. And um, man, I can't tell you. Well, let's just put it this way. My uncle hadn't been here in 4 years, and he came last October from the Netherlands, and he said to me, "Have you slept in 3 years?" And I said, "Well, um, I did a little," but he was just amazed at how much the place has transformed. Um, it's one of the things that we're going to be working on in the next year to come is just landscaping and um, putting in patches of grass here and there. It's more maintenance to do every year, but aesthetically, we need to get a little bit better. I mean, there's always deficiencies, right? And I always want to add more things to the farm and to make it a more fun experience for people. And uh, not that I want to be Delosa Farms, but that's kind of like your you kind of set the bar at that direction. And again, when we started in '06, my wife and I were broke. I mean, we didn't have any money, and we had a owner over there. The previous owner was very kind to us. I mean, I remember saying that I could come up with the like half of the down that she needed to rent the place, and I eventually got caught up with her, and um, the rest is kind of history. But it takes a lot of different people along the way, and that's again goes back to the 209, and there's a lot of tremendous people around here, and you don't get to hear always those stories, but there are a lot of great people in this valley.
Oh yeah, that's my mission here on this podcast to get get those people telling their stories so people can hear more about them. So I'm glad
Yeah,
that you mentioned that case there in particular. Well, let's talk more about what the farm offers, especially the people who maybe aren't as familiar with Dutch Hollow Farms.
yeah,
You mentioned the tulips earlier. I know
yeah,
that's a popular thing. So just tell us more about like the different things that are grown there.
yeah. And that was over 20 something years ago, and I was still living in this house over here on the farm, because like again, my wife and I've been married 30 years, so I mean, uh, it's been probably 25 plus years ago. I was on the driveway with my mom, and she had these big, beautiful tulips blooming, and I said, "Hey, mom, those are real nice." And she said to me in her Dutch accent, she says, "Yeah, why don't you grow them and sell them for cut flower?" And I went, "Okay." So I started with like 200, and um, we kept kind of, a lot of the first 10 years was almost kind of experimental because they don't grow over here like they do in the Netherlands, right? We can get March where it's like 90 plus degrees, and tulips hate hot weather. And so they tend to go bloom out very fast when it's that warm. So it took knowing the varieties a lot better, and um, there's certain procedures that we need to do with the bulbs before we plant them in order to get them to bloom maybe a little bit earlier in the season so that we don't get caught with all that heat. And yeah, we're set to plant. There's a bulb shortage this year. It's random. Um, it's just they have had a couple of really bad years growing tulips in the Netherlands, and demand is high. So there's kind of a bit of a shortage. We're going to plant 180,000, and then we're going to plant 100,000 daffodils. So we're going to have a very big space where people can come out and enjoy being around flowers. Um, we used to be exclusively cut flower, and then when the cost of the employees kept going up and up and up, I wasn't making any money anymore. In fact, I was going backwards. And so we went to doing a U pick, and the U pick, while there are some people that will thrash your field, um, the profitability went up. So it's never one that we make big money on, but the community loves it, and they have their little, you know, there's a woman told me one time, she's like, people just want to be in a field full of flowers, and that's rare, especially here in the valley. So, um, so we've actually been doing tulips longer than we have pumpkins. A lot of people don't know that, but there's quite a story. And if anybody ever runs into me, I can tell them how I used to do it. I used to see people pull over. I had signs around the neighborhood that said, cut flower tulips, and I would pick them for people, and that's how they got their bouquets. It wasn't until we did a little more research on how to sell them and the stage to sell them at, made a huge difference. So it's quite a long story, but I'll I'll spare you. If anybody from the 209 wants to hear that story, I'll be happy to tell them. It was a lot of work. But then we started doing sunflowers, and it's one of the things that kept us afloat during COVID, because I lost my spring event, Baby Animal Days. That's another thing. So this is how our season goes. We'll do tulips early in the year. That's like late February into March. And then we start Baby Animal Days, which who would have thought this concept would ever bring so many people to the farm? But it's an opportunity for kids and adults to be hands on with a lot of cute animals. Let's just say that, because hey, baby goats in their baby stage are the most fun things you've ever seen. And so we do Baby Animal Days, and then we'll do sunflowers. Sunflowers, like I said, the first year of COVID, it's the only thing that kept us alive, because we lost Baby Animal Days, we lost Spring Craft Fair, and I'm like, I got no income coming in. How am I going to do this? And um, on a whim, we planted some sunflowers, and that got us through the summer. And finally, we got lucky and we're able to do pumpkin season. Yet, oh, it was nerve wracking, because you're like, are we going to be able to be open? And if we hadn't been able to be open that pumpkin season, we would have been sunk. Um, it is what it is. And we ended up having a pretty successful year, because if you think about it, we were one of the only places that you could do stuff outside. So we're thankful for that. And we're going to be doing more and more of those type of you pick events. And we did one of my nicest sunflower fields ever this year. But the problem is it hit during that 105-degree July temperature time, and that's tough to bring people out when it's so hot. But we got some things up our sleeve for next year, and we're going to be doing more and different kinds of flowers, and it helps with a little bit of summer income that helps, build. Let me see if I can see that pumpkin house. Maybe I can walk over to it. But we built a pumpkin house this year. Let me see if I can get that in the background. The lighting is terrible over here, but
Oh, there you go. It's right.
yeah. Oh, yeah. My big fat head is in the way. So we built this over this year, and that's going to be a great new addition. So we'll fill all those boards with pumpkins, and it's all about the pictures, right? Um, those ladies love Instagram pictures, right? hey, and if you think about it, without social media, I don't think this business would fly either. Somehow or another, I've got a lot of people following me. I don't know why, but our Instagram just hit 33,000. Facebook is over almost at 47,000. I mean, yeah, Facebook is all those boomers, right? But but it's amazing to have that many people following you and interacting almost on a daily basis, and it's pretty neat. Like I said, that's a lot of people that are following you at any given time, and so it helps advertising. As you know, it's hard to get your name out there, and it's a competitive field too. There's always some new people that want to start doing what we're doing, and fortunately, we're an established farm now, and we actually grew with the amount of people coming here because of the move, and I would have never guessed it, but those people, when they came to this place, even though it was a mess, they all said, now you feel like you're in the country. You know, over there you had that big shopping center across the street, and you had all that traffic all the time. It's such a busy area. When you come out here, even though we're a stone's throw from the city, but you know, you see fields, and I think that automatically makes people, you know, they enjoy that. Um, it's a place of kind of peace because hey, everybody's running around stressed out. Everybody's stressed out. You know, inflation has killed a lot of people in the last couple of years, uh, and it's affected us. But regardless, it's just when they come out here, it's like a lot of those worries go away, if that makes any sense. And that that's nice and neat that we're a part of that.
Yeah, it's the magic of being outdoors, right? I always say just when you go out to nature, it's different. I feel like your
Yeah,
mind just like forgets about other things and you're just focused in the moment. And that's why people put their phone down, which I'm glad they do that because it's
yeah,
really hard to find places where
yeah.
people actually put
No,
their phone down.
I mean it's yeah, it's a rare instance, and it's again when our sales barn burned down last year, and that was one of those things that was kind of tough. But I specifically remember my dad before he passed. You know, he was watching those people come in and out of that barn, and he said to me, you know, I used to see people. I used to make my living on things that walked on four legs, and now you're making money on people with two legs, and and it was it was kind of neat because yeah, I mean that was the barn that we were milking cows in, and now it's people that are coming in and out of here, and but he just enjoyed seeing those kids look up to their parents, and they're all smiles, or they're completely wiped out and like about crashing asleep. That's neat to see. And you know, because we always hear about the negative stuff, right? We hear about how people are getting divorces and all that other stuff, but when they're here, man, there's no worries. And if we could bottle that feeling up, and man, we'd be pretty rich, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Uh,
who doesn't want those feelings for sure?
yeah. No, I mean, you know, hey, if he life is really good when you don't have stresses in it, and uh, hey, I still have a lot of stress, but you know, I can still, you know, I feel like I'm doing something good for the community. I'm able to make a living at it, and hopefully we continue growing and doing more and more things. If I'm able, if somebody just dropped a couple million in my back pocket, uh, I'll make this better than Teloso and like lickety split. It's just not that easy though.
Yeah. Hey, hopefully someone can make it happen because that would be really
Well,
awesome to see it grow.
well, I mean, there's some rides that I'd love to add. Um, there's a thing called Tractor Town. I'd love to add that. Um, but those are all like $500,000 projects. You know, I mean, it's just we've got other headaches that we need to worry about first. So
Well,
then
let's.
there's another one that's a chicken and a rabbit ride, and oh man, the kids would go nuts on that. We experienced that in Illinois this past summer, and I was like, oh, somebody give me the money now. But again, those are those are $750,000 projects, and because you got to build a barn, you got to buy the ride itself. But I mean, it's safe, it's fun, it's the future. I want to put in a splash pad eventually because I think the community would benefit from being able to go to a place where it's safe, it's fun, it's clean, and enjoy when it's hot that they can kind of go indoor, right? Or I mean, go outdoors, but then you know splash around in a safe way.
I know that pumpkin season begins September 28th, which is really awesome. It's just right around the corner here.
Yeah.
So just tell us more about the different attractions that people can expect this season.
Yeah, we added a 30 by 70 jump pillow. Deloso has a jump pillow as well, or they have multiple ones. I'm not sure. We used to have a jump pad. We're actually going to keep the jump pad. And then on the weekends, when it's really busy over here, we'll inflate the jump pad. And that'll be specifically for the real littles, the ones that are, 3 years old and that they can bounce and bounce without being on the big jump pad. Is a jump pillow, that is. So that's a new thing that we're doing this year. We are also adding a pig race, and you actually physically sit on a pig. It's not a real pig, obviously, but it's one made of fiberglass, I'm assuming. And you actually get to pull a handle, and you get to race against two other people. And so that's a new one. We're actually pouring the concrete for that Saturday morning. So we're hoping that attraction is ready, but we got 2 weeks. We'll get it done. Once the concrete is in, it won't take long to set the rest of it up. Um, let's see. We moved our cannons area for the third time in 4 years. But we're going to make it a much better attraction. We got a bigger air compressor. We are going to be shooting apples this year, so there'll be a fun little splat factor with that. And if we keep doing well, I might add a paintball thing. There's kind of a new paintball system out there that works off of air as well. You don't need the compressed air, which is half the battle, right? But hopefully be adding that. The cannons will be, we have zip lines for the kids. We have our super mega slide. That's kind of like the ones that you see at the fair. Had that a few years. We have gem mining available. We have a spider web that you can climb on. We have of course, our hay ride. And this year, our corn maze is going to be Jeremy Renner, who, if you know that from the 209, he just cut the maze the other day. So I've got to pull up my drone here in the next couple of days, and we'll get some video of that and get some pictures of see how it turned out. So there we have carnival games, we have a tricycle track, we have hamster wheels, we have tug of war, we have another tire slide, we have a tire dinosaur, we have the critter barn and the petting zoo. Our petting zoo and critter barn is probably one of the most premier ones in all of Northern California. I think I only know of one other place that might compare, but it's when you're in our critter barn, it feels like you're at the fair. The animals are very kept and very friendly towards people, and it's unusual to have happy goats. Gosh, we have a combine slide. I'm just trying to think of everything out here. A lot of new photo opportunities this year. One of the things that we're going to be working on this winter is a tiny town. We have some of that started, but we'll be putting in our own little tiny town. It'll be great for little kids, and again, more opportunities for people to come out to the farm and just enjoy their time. We're opening a small little snack shack this year, and we have our corn pit. Our corn pit is one of the most fun things. People love coming to the farm to go sit in whole corn. I don't know what it is, but like there's adults that say that they wish they could build that in their backyard because it's just, again, it's time for them to just drain out the week, and it's very, for people with sensory issues, it's like a fantastic thing. So we're just gonna slowly on keep adding things, and a lot of new photo opportunities this year. Eventually I'm gonna get a train. I've watched this train go by for 42 years, and I love the train. It never gets old watching the train. And eventually I'm gonna have a train out here. It's another 500,000 bananas, you know what I mean? So again, it's yeah, you know. And don't forget our hayride. Our hayride takes you around the farm, and we have a small little patch of sunflowers. I don't know how many weeks it'll be blooming because it's only one variety, but um, when it cools down, they should bloom longer, so people will be able to take more pictures and stuff like that out there. But there's a lot to do out here for $15. Considering we have employees at every station, just to keep everybody safe and um, keep things from getting thrashed. Because in the earlier days, we didn't really have the money to industrialize everything, and now that things are doing a little bit better, we're building more permanent type things that people can enjoy for a long time to come. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, no, it's really awesome that there's more attractions. As you mentioned, more photo ops for people to
Yeah, yeah,
tag the page. All that. I think that's all the page group because if you
yeah.
take a picture, you gotta tag.
And keep our pumpkin prices pretty reasonable. We haven't really raised them in years, considering with inflation and all that. We've been able to do that because we're really good at growing pumpkins. We seem to grow a few more pumpkins. If you grow one pumpkin more per 50,000 plants, you can keep your prices at bay. Does that make any sense? I mean, I don't know if we're planting 50,000 anymore, but I know we're planting 30,000. So I mean, we plant a lot of pumpkins, and again.
Nope.
Back.
Oh, you're back. Yeah. Okay.
We used to have people complain like, "Well, I can get 3 pumpkins at Save Mart for $10." Well, go over there to Save Mart then. Um, you know, when Save Mart has animals and all the photo ops and stuff like that, then we'll charge $10 too. I mean, it's for them, it's a loss leader, and a lot of people don't know that, but when you're out here at the farm, it's going to cost you a little bit more for pumpkins, but um, hey, that's how it goes, because it takes a lot for us to set up everything. Um, I'm also not selling you a box of cereal for $7, so
Yeah.
people always, like, they're selling you like 25 cents a grain, right? So that usually gets people upset when I tell them that. But anyways,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot that goes on with that for sure. But yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it's really great for people to keep supporting there, and I'm glad that you have all kinds of varieties. I think that's something that they can't say because I saw those pictures. I saw all the different kinds of pumpkins that you guys
Yeah,
grow, and
yeah,
there's a lot. There's a lot of options
yeah.
and
It's a
different
lot of
ones.
options, and that's where a lot of the chains aren't able to do what we do. And we got a lot of great food trucks on the weekends, and so there's a lot of different food options for people. And like in the last couple of weekends, we'll have 3 or 4 different trucks here, and it's pretty neat. I mean, again, it's a nice place to come to be able to do a lot of different things.
Oh yeah, no, and it's great. Again, it's an experience for people to go there, and I'm glad that there's so many attractions that I've been to other places that don't have as many attractions, so it definitely
Right,
makes you
right.
guys stand out here.
And we're part of an organization that has different farmers that from different areas of the even the world, but different parts of the United States. We all get together a couple of times a year, and we're all kind of sharing information and seeing what works for them. May not necessarily work for us, but you get to always see the latest and greatest attractions that are coming up the pike. And because there's a lot of different things that I want to add for next year, and um, you just people just got to give us a little bit of time, and before they're never going to want to drive to Lathrop anymore.
Yeah, yeah, just
and
stay
don't get
right.
me wrong, Ron and Susan Delos are some of the kindest, most generous people you've ever met in your entire life. So I never view them as competition. Um, I see them more as what we'd like to be eventually, and maybe a little bit better. So um, they all have their things. Some it's pretty expensive to get into their place, but they're able to do that because of their location. So um, I think at $15 you get to do a corn. Everything's all included for $15 over here, and that's gem mining and apple cannons are going to be extra, but um, I think it's fair. I mean, considering what everything costs nowadays, $15 is pretty doggone cheap. So hopefully everybody that comes here shares with their friends about us, and you can always follow us at DutchHallOfFarms.com or Instagram. It's all Dutch Hall of Farms. Facebook. None of you are on Facebook though. The boomers. I give crap to my brothers because they're all boomers, and I was 7 years younger than my next oldest brother. So I'm Gen X, so I can say those. So I'm not a boomer, even though my kids, my son Isaac will do that to me. He's like, "Dad, you're a boomer." I'm like, "No, no, I'm not." He's like, "Yeah, you are." So he was fun. He was a lot of fun. He helped me out here this summer, and gosh, what a phenomenal kid. I mean, that's a good kid. I got lucky twice with my kids. Both are great kids, and but having my son out here working for me all summer long was pretty neat. It's not something that everybody gets to do in their life, and yeah, hopefully people will recognize how much different the farm looks, and uh, they keep telling their friends, come on out. And the more people that keep coming here, the better and bigger that we're going to get. And uh, for their it'll become a generational type of thing. So
Oh yeah, that's how it all ends up working out, right? I mean, someone goes, someone refers someone else, someone sees it in the picture, they want to know where
yeah,
that's at. But
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I know I'll be there the first week that you guys are open to take some videos. I'll try and do as much as I can
yeah,
on the
yeah.
socials for my side here to try
Nice.
and spread the word also for y'all, because
Yeah,
I think it's really nice what you guys are
yeah,
doing with
yeah.
all the
And
attractions and all that.
and I always encourage people, if they see me around the farm, don't hesitate to come up to me and say hello. It's it's always nice to get feedback, even the negative feedback. Sometimes we get that too. But again, I'm just one person trying to do a lot, and again, make make it make it good for everybody in the 209.
Oh yeah, and you're doing great, and I'm really glad that your team grow a lot. I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that comes with costs and all that, but it's really
yeah,
nice to
yeah,
be able to provide a good experience for
yeah,
everyone. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, that's it's important that everybody stays safe, and uh, we want people to burn. We want kids to burn off energy, but we don't need them climbing fences and like that kind of
oh
thing, right? So running out in front of the apple cannons, that's probably a bad idea too.
oh yeah.
Anyway.
Well, John, there's some like wind noise in the back.
Yeah,
Oh, you're
sorry.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, because I actually really need to get going now because I'm 39 minutes overdue when I was supposed to leave, but
Oh, you're
it's
good.
it's all good. So if there's
Well,
anything else you need from me, you're more than welcome to. We can always hook up another time.
Well, yeah, John, this has been really awesome. Thank you again for your time. It was really great hearing the stories. And again, if people go to Dutch Hollow Farms, I hope that they talk to you so you can tell them that more stories about the tulips. They
Yeah,
need to hear
yeah,
them.
yeah. No, there's a lot of good stories. I miss my dad. Uh, he was always great to have around here. Uh, he would drive pumpkins from the field into the barn, and it's just different. It's a different feel now, but again, we have good memories of that, and hopefully I can fill those footsteps. So
Yeah. We're
yeah,
doing great and looking forward to seeing the farm grow every year. So thank you again.
yep. Thank you.
Well, thanks again to John for sharing the story of Dutch Hollow Farms, how all that got started, and what they offer there. And if you guys are trying to find a place to go to this fall season, that's the place to go to. Again, check out Dutch Hollow Farms on their website, dutchhollowfarms.com, and all the different attractions that they're going to have there. Because he mentioned quite a few. Let's go out there, support. I always say support local businesses, support our farms as well, because it's a really a unique experience that we want to keep around as long as we're able to, hopefully forever, because we know the Central Valley, the 209, it's all founded upon agriculture, and so having more of these farms around here is really awesome, and again provides a really unique experience because I think most of the time, we're so distracted with other things in life, as John was mentioning earlier, that being able to go out in the outdoors, whether you're out in nature or you're able to go to a farm, especially on this fall season where you have the pumpkin patch, you have the corn maze, and you have all the other attractions. It's really great to be able to have something, especially here locally, for all of our communities, wherever you come from, because I'm sure, I mean, he probably gets people from the Bay Area, from Sacramento, from Fresno that come by. And, the more that we have there, the more that we can drive more people to come visit Modesto and the surrounding communities. And again, also those people are going to support other local businesses when they're here. So always awesome to hear these stories of the great things that are going on here in the valley. So let's go out there and support the farms. Like I said, I will be out there sometime during that first week when they're open to take some videos, share it with everyone on the socials. So if you haven't yet, go follow the socials for the 209 Journey on Facebook and Instagram at the 209 Journey. You might see on Instagram that I've been starting to post some reels. I posted a reel about a week ago here as of this recording about my visit to Mocha Magic. So if you want to go check that out, check it out on the Instagram page. I want to do more of those and also do some that are more than just a reels worth of time, more in-depth ones that are on YouTube. So that's the plan. So subscribe to the YouTube channel as well if you haven't subscribed yet. I'm trying to grow that channel. I know I haven't really posted as much, aside from, of course, the video interviews that I've done this season, and then a few from like first season, just the audio recordings. But I do want to do more video content on there that's not just the episodes, but more highlighting businesses, things to do here in the 209. So if you go on there on the YouTube page, if you subscribe, you'll be able to find out when those get posted. Also, check out the website, the209journey.com, so you could listen or watch the episodes on there. Also, you can contact me on there if you have a guest in mind, or if you yourself want to be a guest. That is the place to do so. Again, that is the209journey.com. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much to everyone for watching or listening to today's episode. I invite you to, again, subscribe to the podcast on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. That way you find out when new podcasts get posted. If you're currently watching on YouTube, you should actually see a suggested video show on this side right there. If you want to check out other episodes on there, then just go follow the channel so you see the other episodes that I have posted in the past. Or if you want to subscribe to the show, easy way to do it is on the right side. Something should show up on there if it hasn't yet. So you can actually hit the 209 logo right there, and it should actually show up the subscribe option. But I hope everyone has a good morning or good night whenever you're listening or watching, and you'll hear me next week here on the 209 Journey podcast.